Ba-da-ba. Can you feel it? Can you feel it? Can you feel it? Doom, 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 doom. Can you feel it? Can you feel it? Can you feel it? Do, 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 do. All the people around the world should see. All right. Happy Sunday, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to Sabby Sabs podcast. I'm your host, sabrinasalvati. If you're new, I do want to let you know we're also streaming on Rumble and X as well as YouTube. And welcome back, ladies and gents. We have quite a show for you tonight. There's so much that has been going on. I know we are heading into July 4th weekend. So quick updates. I most likely will not be live this coming Sunday, the July 4th weekend. And I figure people probably got plans and things like that. I'll be hanging out with friends and family. So I most likely won't be live that Sunday. I will be live this Tuesday night and Thursday night. Do also want to give you a quick update. Many of you have been asking about the film festival. So now the Roxbury International Film Festival is heading into the online portion of that festival. These are the people that could not make it there in person. So that happens this week. Then they've announced after that, they are taking a break. I think it's like a week off. And then they will announce awards. So I know people have emailed me asking about that. So I wouldn't know if we want anything until like probably mid-July, but I'll keep you guys updated on that. Again, as I said, like the competition, it's fierce. Like there are a number of great projects that were part of this festival. A part of the in-person portion, and then in the online portion is this week. But we also have all applied to other film festivals as well. So I don't know if I told you guys that. I won't hear back from those for quite some bit because their notification dates are much later. So just wanted to give you guys an update about that. But we got a show to do. Ladies and gents. Let's go ahead and give some shout outs to people in the chat because we have so much to discuss. Let's give a shout out to June Megyn, who just became a Sabby member. Give it up for June. Whoop, whoop. All righty. Shout out to Joanne. Love your work, Miss Sabrina. Thank you. Hey, what's going on? Just Me says, hi, Sabby. Hello. Greetings, Lauren says, doobie doobie doo. Shout out to Cloudness says, happy Sunday, fun day, fam. Salute to Sabby Sabs and everyone in the building. Let's get it. B1 fam certified. Salute. Greetings, Cup of Joy. To be clear, AOC has been angering voters for years. Supporters are the centrist pro-Israel Epstein class now. What is going on, Rich? AOC, another opportunistic centrist. Puerto Rican Barbie wants to be president. Step one, apologize for lying to us about fighting tirelessly for the Gaza ceasefire. Number 2 and 3, sanction Israel, abolish ICE. It's interesting. She used to have abolish ICE. That was like a big part of her platform when she ran the first time. So it's interesting. You don't hear her say as much about that anymore. Greetings, Blockbuster says, hi. What is going on? Moo. AOC has presidential aspirations, but like Bernie, she is courting the right instead of her base, independents, and non-voters. So she is going to continue to fumble like this till then. Shout out to I Know Myself. If AOC was a firearm, she would sound like pew, pew, pew. The smallest caliber weapon, more like a toy. Wow, you guys got some things to say here. Greetings, Mr. Moto. He wore a bright red beret, the kind you find in a revolutionary store. A little take on Prince there. A little bit of a take on Prince. Greetings, Allah. I can't figure out who I hate more, Democrats or Republicans. All righty. What's going on? Hannah says, let's go. Greetings, Randy says, good afternoon, my dear little Sabby, Sabs, and revolutionary comrades. Right until we got a dictatorship of the proletariat established. Greetings, Cheetah says, hello, Sabby and everyone. Shout out to Doug says, hi. Greetings, Devotion said, what's up, beautiful people? Shout out to User says, what's up, folks? And greetings, CBC Voter says, happy Sunday, Sabby Sabs and Eric T. Red. Okay. We have quite so much to discuss, ladies and gents. First and foremost, let's give a shout out to Sabby patrons. Thank you guys so much for your support. Really do appreciate you around here. Fam, if you are interested in being a Sabby patron, I have 5 categories for you. We have the ultimate. Don't forget about the Sabinators. We also have Sabsters. I think they're pretty cool too. Don't know about you, but we also got those Sabbies and they're doing the damn thing. Yeah. And last but not least, we have the members. All of their names are listed here, ladies and gents, and you can also see their names scrolling across the bottom of the screen there on the ticker throughout the show. Thank you guys. Thank you so much. Appreciate you. Yeah. Okay, ladies and gents, quite a bit to get into. A bit to get into. We actually have 6 stories for you tonight, not 5. So we have a bonus story that was sent my way that I think we also need to discuss because they're really trying to be sneaky in the education system. So let's see what we're talking about tonight, ladies and gents. Tonight, we are discussing AOC upset supporters. And you can see there's Hakeem Jeffries right next to her there. The number of people that I have seen who support AOC online be very disappointed about this decision that she has made. It's astounding, to be honest with you, because there were some of these people, I saw them defend her, saying we're working tirelessly for a ceasefire, but this one with Hakeem seems to be a bridge too far. We're going to get into all of that. We're also going to discuss Donald Trump appears to be failing over the weekend. Over the weekend, this conflict with Iran is not working in his favor. And as you will see, more shots have been fired back and forth between the two. I talked about the shots that were fired Saturday morning, but more has happened since then. And Iran is really sticking it to the U.S. So we're going to get into some updates about that. Excuse me, can't talk today. We're also going to discuss Stephen Miller has lost his damn mind. He is coming after disabled people. So if you are on disability or you know someone on disability, definitely make sure you pay attention to that story and warn people about this. They're coming after the little people, folks. They're coming after people who have absolutely no power or resources at all, instead of course, taking down the powerful who are ripping off the little people. We're also going to get into, if you have not seen it, Megyn Kelly. Oh my God. Everybody, even some of Megyn Kelly's own defenders are calling her out for this one. We're going to show you some of those comments as well. She seems to be very proud of this segment that she made here, where she has some things to say to the Haitian people here. And like I said, what's very telling about this is some of her own viewers are coming after her for her take on this. And I'm going to get into a little bit of the history of Haiti since Megyn doesn't want to talk about this, about what the US government has done in the past and what they continue to do today that people need to be aware of. We're also going to discuss big win. It's Sunday. We got to have a good news show story on Sunday. It is Sunday, and we got a big ass win for Burkina Faso. We got a big one for Burkina Faso. Captain Ibrahim Traore is doing the damn thing. And Emmanuel Macron is not happy about this one. And last but not least, we have a bonus story. And that is this announcement that is coming out of the state of Texas that they are going to be teaching the Bible in public schools. I'm going to tell you what this is really all about, because actually it's not just about Christianity. There's a bigger force at work here, ladies and gents. And it has something to do with the announcement that Benjamin Netanyahu made today. So we're going to get into all of that. Again, big show tonight. Tonight's theme is wake up call. Wake up call. When did you have your wake up call? Whether you woke up from what the political system is really about, whether you woke up to the corporatism, to the elites, to the billionaire, trillionaire class, whether you woke up to whatever epiphany that you had in your life, when did you get your wake up call? And do you think that these actors that we are going to discuss today are giving you a wake up call now, or do you think they got a wake up call? Let's talk about it. Before we get into it, ladies and gents, if you haven't had a chance to do so, do me a solid and smash that like button. Thank you very much. And if you're new, don't forget to like, sub, and share, just like a Care Bear. Let's dive on in, ladies and gents. Let's get to the first one. Donald Trump not having a good weekend. Not good at all. Let's get you up to speed. Iran and the U.S. had this agreement, this MOU, where there was not supposed to be any fire. Apparently on Friday night, the U.S. said that Iran struck a U.S. cargo ship, but they left out crucial details. That ship did not follow the correct route for the Strait of Hormuz. There is a specific pattern that is laid out. Iran made that very clear, and they said that any ship that tries to go in a different direction will be fired upon. You got to keep in mind, they have soldiers there guarding that strait. They know that the U.S. government can't be trusted and the U.S. could do a sneak attack on them. So that ship was fired upon. No one was killed. In response to that, Donald Trump decided to bomb Iran yet again. So this agreement is just kind of up in the air. So he struck Iran after that. Then the connection with Lebanon here. Lebanon was supposed to be a part of this MOU where Israel would not attack Lebanon. As you know, Israel has still been bombing Lebanon, right? They're trying to basically take that southern portion of Lebanon. The Lebanese leadership sold out the Lebanese people and decided that they are going to acknowledge Israel as a state, the state of Israel. This is a big deal. They already had pointed fingers at Iran instead of Israel, who is killing their own people. So the Lebanese leadership is bought and paid for by the Western government. So you have to know that. The people in Lebanon have risen and they are out in the streets protesting right now because of the decisions that the Lebanese government made. Marco Rubio was just there with them to sign documents. So now the leadership of Lebanon has decided to basically bend the knee to Israel and go along with the U.S. government. Netanyahu gave a statement recently where he said, this is working out perfectly because now the Lebanese, government leadership, they are going to fight against Hezbollah. Israel is not withdrawing from Lebanon, and they are thus now occupying at least southern Lebanon. That's to catch you up to where we are now. Since that, there was another attack. Let's go ahead and bring this in here. Fox News reporting the U.S. is carrying out a new round of airstrikes against Iran right now. This seems to be escalating and throwing into question whether the ceasefire is going to hold. So there was another attack from the U.S. government on Iran.
Joey, I just spoke to a senior U.S. defense official who who confirms to me that the U.S. military is carrying out a new round of airstrikes against Iran right now. This is in response to the IRGC hitting a ship in the Strait of Hormuz earlier today. It was about 4:30 a.m. when that ship was hit near the Strait of Hormuz. That's the second ship in 2 days, and this is the second night of bombing that the U.S. military is carrying out. The targets include air defense systems, drone storage sites, cruise missiles, targeting radars, and mine laying capabilities, as well as surface-to-air missiles. That's according to a U.S. official. I'm told that this strike is much larger than last night, which lasted for about an hour. Iran, I'm told, had a chance to stop shooting. This official said they didn't take it. Instead, they attacked another ship in this Strait of Hormuz this morning, the MT Kiku. That's the name of the ship. That ship was carrying about 200,000 barrels of oil, and so it could have been a disaster in the Strait of Hormuz, a very dangerous situation. These are attack drones, one-way attack drones that Iran and the IRGC have been sending towards these ships. I also learned that...
Let's pause here for a second. So this is something that, many Trump supporters don't push back on, which is the fact that Donald Trump continues to tell you they have no army, they have no navy. Then who is firing these shots, right? So you literally have the news network that supports and defends and advocates for the Trump administration telling you and showing you that there were attacks from Iran and from the US, but people will actually sit there and watch this and not put two and two together and realize that Donald Trump is lying to you when he says they obliterated Iran's navy. They have no way to fight back. So things are definitely escalating again in the Middle East.
Iran last night responded to the first round of U.S. airstrikes, that 1 hour of airstrikes, with attacks of their own on U.S. forces in Bahrain. So they did target a U.S. base in Bahrain. The U.S. and Bahraini forces combined to shoot down 9 Iranian one-way attack drones, I'm told. No damage or personnel injuries, according to a senior U.S. official. But this tit for tat seems to be escalating and certainly is throwing into question whether this ceasefire is going to hold and whether this MOU is going to move forward.
So, again, here we are. More attacks between Iran and the U.S. And then this is the claim that Iran is making now. The IRGC says that strikes targeted 8 U.S. military sites in Kuwait and Bahrain. So let's get into this here. They are warning that tougher action against violating vessels in the Strait of Hormuz. So they are warning everybody that they are not playing around. And if you don't follow the rules, they are going to go bam. You know what I'm saying? The IRGC said early Sunday that missile and drone strikes targeted 8 U.S. military sites in Kuwait and Bahrain in response to recent American attacks on Iranian positions. This is a statement made by Iran's Tasnim news agency and said the force indicated its naval and aerospace units carried out a decisive operation between 2 a.m. and 3 a.m. local time. The IRGC claimed the strikes targeted key U.S. military infrastructures, including the Ali Al Salim Air Base in Kuwait and the headquarters of the U.S. Fifth Fleet in Bahrain. It said the operation came under U.S. forces attacked 5 Iranian coastal positions earlier Sunday under what it described as a pretext of confronting an Iranian operation against a violating vessel. So this is FAFO. 8 U.S. military sites attacked by Iran. This is the FAFO. This time, Iran is not playing with you. They told you what the rules were with the Strait of Hormuz. You did not want to listen. And this is the response. So Donald Trump is having epic failure when it comes to what is happening in the Middle East. Iran is not one of those countries that the US government can just bully around. And you'll see some of this here as well from Al Jazeera. Iran launches attacks on US military sites in Kuwait and Bahrain.
Iran's Revolutionary Guard says it's launched attacks targeting U.S. military sites in Kuwait and Bahrain. It comes after the U.S. carried out a second consecutive night of strikes on Iran's southern coast, marking the worst escalation since a memorandum of understanding was signed more than a week ago. Strikes were reported on the port city of Sirik and Kesheev Island, where some of Iran's key military facilities are located.
So you can see here again, we talked about Kesheev Island earlier on in the Iran war. Sirik Island is one that I brought up on Saturday just recently. But again, all this action is happening right there in the Strait of Hormuz.
The U.S. says the latest strikes are in response to an Iranian attack on a commercial shipping vessel on Saturday. Both sides are now accusing each other of ceasefire violations. The IRGC has released a statement saying, according to the Islamabad agreement, the arrangements for controlling passage in the Strait of Hormuz are with the Islamic Republic. And from now on, stronger action will be taken against violating ships than before. The enemy should know that violating the ceasefire is against the first clause of the Islamabad agreement and will lead to a complete halt of processes. Zulsadar has more details from the Iranian capital, Tehran.
The IRGC statement simply saying that the USA has violated the agreement, and there have been 5 coastal posts of the Islamic Republic of Iran in the early hours of today that were targeted by the United States. And then in response, the IRGC has targeted Ali al-Salim base in Kuwait and the 5th Fleet in Salman Port in Bahrain. And IRGC also claims that they have destroyed them and decisively responded to the recent U.S. attacks. So here, once again, this is the statement that is quite similar, but in a stronger language, but the similar emphasis on the Islamabad agreement, the memorandum of understanding. And so in this statement, they're saying that according to the Islamabad memorandum of understanding, the arrangements for controlling the passage in the Strait of Hormuz are with the Islamic Republic, and from now on, stronger action will be taken against violating ships than before. So, and even they're saying that if the aggression from the United States is like last night and tonight, the aggressions are going to be responded with a more in a harsher way, and the USA is going to receive a crushing response.
So this is Iran letting the U.S. government know that what you saw before in previous days during this war, that was only a taste of what Iran could do. Going forward, there were going to be harsher responses. And that is what you are seeing now. So, Iran was right not to trust the U.S. government. But again, like I said on Saturday, why would that U.S. cargo ship try to take a different route than what they were supposed to take, like all the other ships, unless you were trying to do something sneaky, right? You're trying to do a sneak attack. You're up to no good. So, of course, Iran cannot sit back and just trust that. And so that's how we end up where we are today. Now, people are asking, what does this mean for the agreement? Well, here is the response recently from Donald Trump. Donald Trump says here, the United States aircraft just struck Iranian missile and drone storage locations and coastal radar sites for violating the ceasefire agreement. Interesting, huh? Didn't he say ceasefire only means like a little bit of fire? It is very possible that they will never learn. There may come a point when we are no longer able to be reasonable and will be forced to militarily complete the job that we very successfully started. You're not going to be able to complete that. He's just talking shit. If that happens, the Islamic Republic of Iran will no longer exist. President Donald Trump. So Trump is threatening, of course, that's a nuke threat. That's a threat. The only way Iran would no longer exist is if you were to nuke the country. So that's a nuclear threat that is coming from Donald Trump. He's done it before, and now he's doing it again, right? So this is where we're at now, ladies and gents, and that's Donald Trump there melting down. And I want to show you something else too. Let me go back to this video here.
U.S. President Donald Trump has commented on this latest escalation, posting the following on Truth Social. United States aircraft just struck Iranian missile and drone storage locations and coastal radar sites for violating the ceasefire agreement again. It is very possible that they will never learn. There may come a point when we are no longer able to be reasonable and will be forced to militarily complete the job that we very successfully started. If that happens, the Islamic Republic of Iran will no longer exist. Manuel Rapalo is live for us in Washington, D.C. Manuel, has there been any reactions now to Iran launching more attacks on U.S. military locations in the Gulf?
We've been trying to get an idea of any sort of response right now from U.S. officials regarding these what appears to be retaliatory strikes by Iran against its neighbors, including Bahrain and Kuwait. The Reuters news agency reported that, citing a U.S. official here, that no casualties or major damage to U.S. locations has so far been reported. Again, this is according to Reuters in response to these latest strikes by Iran against neighbors Kuwait and Bahrain.
Let's pause here because this goes to show some of the propaganda that can come from Al Jazeera too. Notice how he keeps referring to these countries as Iran's neighbors. So neighbor doesn't mean ally. Yeah, they're neighbors of Iran, but they're allied with the United States and with Israel, right? So they're doing that on purpose to make it seem like, oh my God, how could they do this and attack their own neighbors? Israel attacks its own neighbors. So pay attention to the propaganda that is being used even right here on Al Jazeera. Also, I noticed that they said that according to Reuters, that no significant damage has been done to those military bases. Let's just not forget that they said this earlier on in the war, and it was reported later on by the New York Times that they actually had to admit that there was significant damage that was done to those bases. The idea here, and that's a reporter for Washington, D.C., the idea is to convince you that Iran is not actually inflicting that much damage on these bases so that you believe Iran is not powerful and that the U.S. can just go in and easily defeat them. To that point, I say, if the U.S. could just easily go in and defeat them, that would have been done already. They can't. They know that in order to get those weapons, to, seize those weapons, they have to go in on the ground. They cannot defeat Iran via air. They're going to have to go in on the ground, which would be a death mission for U.S. troops, as we've said before on this show. The other option is they could use a nuclear weapon. So when Donald Trump makes those statements that we're just going to go blow it up and get rid of, all of it, that's a nuclear threat. That's the only way it no longer exists. So here we are again, back to the U.S. and Iran trading blows because the U.S. government did not want to adhere to the rules of the Strait of Hormuz, which, regardless what Donald Trump says, is controlled by Iran, whether he likes it or not. So I ask, is Donald Trump getting a wake-up call here? Is he getting a wake-up call when Iran responds and they can devastate 8 military bases in the Middle East? Is that why he's making those threats? Because of the damage that Iran is actually doing? I don't know. But the reality is, all of this could have been avoided if the U.S. and Israel did not strike Iran. And for those who continue to say that Israel is controlling Donald Trump is not controlled. Israel is not in control. This tiny little place, as I've said before, and Colonel Wilkerson, who was on the inside, has explained this very well. This is a mutual partnership between the U.S. government and Israel. As Joe Biden told you years ago, that Israel, if it did not exist, they would create an Israel. That is a U.S. base in the Middle East that is there to make sure that the U.S., the West, can hold on to those resources there in the Middle East, and that the other Arab countries would not have control over them. And for countries like Saudi Arabia and, of course, Bahrain and Kuwait as well, in order for them to have access to the resources that they have without penalty, they make agreement to go along with the West. And they give all this money to these royal families in those fake countries. That's how it works. Lebanese leadership has bent the knee to Israel and the United States government. Bahrain, Kuwait, what's the other one I always forget about? Qatar, they bent the knee. That's why Israel is not seeing them as a threat, or the U.S. doesn't see them as a threat, because they're going along with the genocide. They're going along with the plan. Iran is the only one, along with Yemen, that refuses to bend the knee. Never forget that. All right, ladies and gents, let's move on to another story. This one is a doozy, but get ready for it. All right. This one just kind of floated my way. I was not paying attention to it, and I hate to do it to you guys that live in Texas, but we're back on Texas again. I'm sorry, but this is important, I promise. It was just announced that Texas public schools are going to require the Bible as a part of curriculum in these schools. And I'm here to tell you, this is not just about Christianity. This is about a much bigger plan that includes Turning Point USA, the history of Turning Point USA, and the statement that Benjamin Netanyahu just made on Sunday. Let's go ahead and get into it. For all of you that live in Texas, give me a yeehaw in the chat.
A major change is coming to Texas classrooms, but not right away.
Today, the State Board of Education approved requiring reading lists that include Bible stories and passages for Texas public school students, and the vote is already drawing some pretty sharp reaction. Fox 4's Casey Stiegel live in our Dallas newsroom with more on what happens next. Casey.
Hey, good evening, Steve, Heather. This required list goes well beyond Bible stories. It also includes classics, children's books, fables, and historical texts. But the religious readings are what turned today's vote into a much larger fight.
Religious reading. So remember, we do have something called separation of church and state.
Violates the Establishment Clause.
After hours of debate, Texas education leaders approved a reading requirement that's already heading into political, legal, and religious territory. The State Board of Education passed it Friday in a 9-5 vote. Among the most debated selections, required reading of certain Bible stories for younger students, including David and Goliath, Daniel and the Lion's Den, and Jonah and the Whale.
Now, what else is mentioned time and time again in the Bible? Israel. And how this text is interpreted actually does matter, because there's different interpretations of the Bible. Israel is mentioned time and time again in the Bible. Oftentimes, this is not referring to a physical place, but mentioned over and over again. Where do you think this is going? This is not just about, oh, let's put the Bible back into schools and so the kids will behave better. And no. This is a part of a bigger plan. And how those teachers interpret these passages really does make a difference. Now, to those of you who are parents, I just want to remind you, as a parent, you do have rights. You do have a voice. So if you don't want this to be taught to your kids, speak up, say something.
Children do not need to think that when they go in the water, they might get swallowed by a whale. And if they're in first grade, they very might likely have that fear. And I don't think we need to encourage a fear of being in nature or being in the water for our first graders.
Middle school and high school students would see other biblical passages, including readings from the New and Old Testament, used alongside literary works. Board members say this newly approved list ultimately puts the power in parents' hands.
If mom and dad know what books that they're reading in class, that they can certainly have those discussions or read along.
Not all board members, though, were sold, with some saying teachers should be trusted to choose what their students read.
They've been selecting books for decades, for years. This is nothing new. This is not a new concept to teachers. We are simply giving them a mandated list, which I believe is unconstitutional.
Texas Freedom Net.
Pause here for a second. Again, this isn't just this is not a Shakespeare, play. This is religion. And if this is going to happen, if you're going to teach one, you got to teach them all. You can't just say, well, the Bible is going to be a part of the curriculum. You also have to say that the Quran is going to be a part of the curriculum. All the other religious texts have to be a part of the curriculum. But that's not the goal here, ladies and gents.
Work, a statewide advocacy group that has long fought over public education and church-state separation issues, released this statement to Fox 4. It reads in part, "It's clear there is a very intentional and heartbreaking attack on religious freedom in the state. More than 5 million Texas public school students will eventually fall under the new reading requirement, but the changes won't be rolled out until 2030.
When you read this, you think like, well, this is just going to happen right away. It's going to happen next week. No, we're talking about a process. We're talking about an implementation process.
Friday's vote approves the list, but it may not end the debate. Critics say the next battle could come in court.
So parents can still ask to remove a child from a class or an activity that conflicts with their religious or moral beliefs. Districts would then have to decide how to handle those specific requests.
So, as I said, parents, you do have power here. I don't want you to feel like you have to just sit back and allow this to happen. Also, if you have the means to do so, you can always homeschool your kids if you have the means to do so, but you can speak up here. So let me tell you what this is really about, because this is not just about Christianity and teaching kids how to be, civil in society. No. This is a part of a bigger plan. And this announcement here from Netanyahu tells you and shows you just exactly what this is really all about. Today, we unanimously approved in the government a strategic move for the future of the Jewish people. Pay attention now. A national plan to strengthen Jewish education in the diaspora with a scope of 200 million ILS. 200 million, that's the goal. Today, approximately 1.8 million Jewish children of school age live in the United States, but only a small portion of them study in Jewish educational institutions. We view the expansion of Jewish education as a strategic goal of utmost national importance, especially in light of the rise of anti-Semitism and the major challenges facing Jewish communities worldwide. Again, no other group in this country gets this type of support. The plan will remove key barriers that prevent Jewish children from receiving quality Jewish education, tuition cost, geographical distance, lack of options for students with learning disabilities, and the need to bolster excellence in schools. Alongside this, we will develop innovative frameworks and digital tools that will make Jewish education accessible to broader audiences. Let's pause here for just a second. Accessible. Our public education system doesn't even do all this for the general masses of students in this country. They even mentioned tuition costs as part of it. No other group gets this type of treatment in the United States. But they wouldn't be able to do this if the US government didn't support it, and they do support it. So as much as they wanted to fearmonger you about Sharia law, you need to pay attention to this kind of law. Anti-Semites seek to harm not only Jews, but also our identity, our heritage, and our connection to our land. Our response is security, but also education, roots, and Jewish pride. Again, after everything that has happened to indigenous people in this country, after everything that has happened to Black Americans in this country, you do not see this type of effort to help those groups. You just don't. Together with the Minister of Diaspora Affairs and Jewish communities around the world, we will strengthen the next generation of Jewish people and its deep connection to the state of Israel. This is our commitment to the future of the Jewish people. And now remember, Jewish doesn't just mean ethnically Jewish. That can also mean Jewish for those who practice the Jewish religion. So see how they got this double fold? Because like for Black Americans, like you're either Black or you're not Black. Like you can't say Black American, that's a group. We are a group of people. There isn't a Black religion. So do you see how they get to have both? This is very important, and that's intentional. So when you combine what Netanyahu just said there with what is just now happening in Texas, now we're going to piece in Turning Point USA. Because remember when Erica met with Sarah Huckabee Sanders and she started this tour of the high schools? Just flashback here for a second. This is Club America, which is a part of Turning Point USA. And they're already making their way throughout the high schools. Now I'm gonna prove a point. So listen to this.
We are here to welcome one of the conservative movement's most talented, most outspoken, and most faithful leaders, Erica Kirk, to our great state. We're so proud to have her, and we're so proud of the incredible work that she is doing to help encourage students across the country to engage and join Club America, which we're launching here in Arkansas, and we're just honored to have you.
Thank you. God bless you. We're so grateful, and thank you for honoring Charlie and his legacy and his mission to have a Club America on every high school chapter across the country. So God bless you guys, and thank you.
So Erica Kirk already started going into the high schools in Arkansas, and you know they already met with Governor Abbott in Texas. So they're starting in the South. A lot of times, like some of these things, they may start in one place, but the goal is to, of course, spread across the United States. Now let's get to Governor Abbott, because this is all connected. There's Erica, Club America, Turning Point USA, Texas. Governor Abbott, TPUSA, emphasized statewide Club America chapter involvement. And here, as you can see, here's a picture of Governor Abbott right there. Governor Abbott emphasized the importance of TPUSA Club America chapter enrollment and involvement on high school campuses across the state. There has been no moment in time during the course of this century when there was such an urgency and a need for an organization like TPUSA and Club America. They have helped to restore moral clarity, constitutional principles, and our founding values. I am grateful for young women and men behind me and their peers across the state for stepping up and identifying themselves as future leaders. This is important, of the Lone Star State. This is going to be the new funneling factory here for the Republican Party, which is going to be that these kids that are a part of Club America, they are going to go on, as it says right here, to be the future leaders of Texas, rather that's starting with city council, but mayor, governor. You see how they start them early? They get them early. So Club America, as Erica said before, and she said we need the Christianity in the schools. So the goal is to create more Club America chapters across the United States. And they're starting in the states where it would be easier to do it first. Now, this part here. Let me go to the next one here. This is important. When we go to let's fast forward to this part right here. Turning Point Academy. Thank you. I'm going to show you how this was all a part of a bigger plan. In 2021, Turning Point USA announced it would launch an online academy as an alternative to schools poisoning our youth with anti-American ideas. Turning Point Academy was intended to cater to families seeking an America First education. Arizona education firm Strong Mind initially partnered with TPUSA with plans to open the academy by the fall of 2022. Goes on to say here, the partnership ended after Strong Mind received backlash from its own employees and key subcontractor Freedom Learning Group, which prepared course content for the academy, and they backed out. In 2022, Turning Point partnered with Dream City Christian School, a private school that has campuses in Glendale, Scottsdale, Arizona, and is affiliated with the Dream City Church. Check this out. In the 2022-23 school year, the school received over $900,000 in Arizona school voucher funds. Now that's private school. But now you're starting to see this make its way into the public school system, the biblical teachings. Remember at the beginning with Turning Point USA, Charlie Kirk, he was known for speaking to these college students, right? But remember what I told you, that video of Cory Booker where he was meeting with AIPAC and he said, you have to get them early. They said, how do we get more black people to support AIPAC? He said, you have to get them early. You're in the colleges, but you have to start getting them in high school. So what they are doing is they are trying to indoctrinate these kids early on. If they're teaching them these biblical stories in public education, K through 12, and depending on who the teacher is and how they interpret it, that is the perfect opportunity for them to also push for the need to be pro-Israel. Now, they're not going to go in and say, well, Israel in the Bible isn't a physical place. It's talking about like a spiritual place. They're not going to do that, or they're probably going to lose their job. The goal is to indoctrinate the kids early on and to make them pro-Israel. And a big part of this is because the U.S. no longer has this favorable view of Israel. For the first time in my lifetime, the disapproval rate of Israel in the United States has never been this high. That's why I say it's not just about the Bible. This is a part of a bigger plan here. Now, I want to show you something else because I want to prove a point. If you look at Turning Point USA's mission statement, I think this is important because, sometimes people don't look at mission statements. So let's look at it. The organization's mission is to identify, educate, train, and organize students to promote the principles of fiscal responsibility, free market, and limited government. What I want to focus on here is limited government. Look at this. Advocates of limited government argue that education should remain strictly under the control of families and local communities. Because the U.S. Constitution does not mention education, the 10th Amendment leaves schooling to individual states and civil society. Highlight states. Remember, a lot of times when people talk about limited government, that means they want the federal government. That applies to the federal government. I don't want the federal government involved in my life, my decision, my affairs, etc. But that does leave room for the local government to come in and make decisions. A lot of times the decisions that are made for public schools are done so via the state government. Because some people I saw online, they were pushing back on this and they said, well, I thought they liked limited government. Why would they be okay with limited government? Tends to be okay with the state, not the federal government. So that's something that's important to highlight. And when you look back at what they said, what their mission was with Turning Point USA, it's limited government. So if the state is making decisions about the public school system, that is still limited government. State and local primacy. Listen to this, primacy. Public schooling administration, including curricula, graduation requirements, and teacher licensing, legally belongs to the state and the local school boards. So this is the thing. And some people, you know, they may not be happy about this news that was just announced in Texas, but this is what I was saying before about limited government versus big government. Limited government still includes the state. It's supposed to push out the federal government making these decisions. So the state of Texas has made a decision to allow the Bible teachings in school. And what I want you to know is that is part of a bigger plan. You got Turning Point USA in the public school system now, not just at the colleges. You hear what the mission was to create Club America all of the United States. They want this in all the schools, all the high schools. You got the Bible now being approved for curriculum in Texas public schools. And then on top of that, you got this statement from Benjamin Netanyahu that says we are expanding our mission for people to learn about the Jewish tradition, the Jewish faith, etc. Now, Benjamin Netanyahu he's not religious. And the way that they're going to go about doing this is by starting with the youth. Now, I will say this. A lot of times when you make kids do something, a lot of times they tend to get turned off from it. You know, when you make kids, it's like when kids are really little and you try to make them brush their teeth, they're like, I don't want to. Or when your kids are really little and you make them go to church and they don't want to go. So what I'm imagining that may happen is that some of these kids may actually get turned off from it because they're being forced to learn it. And then that's where the parents come in again. Just a reminder, as a parent, you have a right. If you don't want your kids to learn that, you have a right to reject against it. So don't forget that. But I sincerely hope that when people are talking about this, the Bible being brought into schools in Texas, I sincerely hope this is a big wake-up call and that people don't just focus on it as, well, that's religion being taught in schools and that's wrong. I hope that people really look at the bigger picture, the ultimate goal. Let's come to some of the comments here, ladies and gents. Let's keep it moving. Let's keep it moving and grooving. Corey, can you set the timestamp for the Megyn one? The timestamp should be on the thing. 5:35. All right, let's go to some of the comments here, ladies and gents. All right, thank you for the super chat, Kevin. Forwarded Haret's article on Brad Lander to you. I thought you might find it of interest. All right, I'll check my email. Thank you, Devotion. Hi, Sabby. Wondering if you can provide some coverage of Shama Sawan's congressional race. Love to everyone. Yeah, Shama's on the list. She's on my list of people to invite back on. Thank you. Thank you, Wasim. Al Jazeera is fake news. They supported al-Jilani. Also will not mention that Qatar and Saudi purchased Israeli air defenses today. Interesting. JB said if they have to read the Bible, then they have to read the Talmud, Quran, Satanic Bible, Origin of the Species, etc. Either make it fair or reject it all. Thank you, Michael. Love you, Sabby. Minnesota, Irish, the street medic. Thank you. Thank you, Roger. Wonder how it will work with so many Californians moving to Texas. Yeah, that should be interesting. Thanks, Kevin. Me and my anti-Zionist bud should write the Bible curriculum. Chapter 1, Christ already fulfilled all Old Testament promises to Israel. Chapter 2, church equals Israel. Thank you, Libertarian Social Democrat. This is why anti-Muslim propaganda is strong in Texas. Interesting. Thank you, Kevin. Zionists claim 250,000 plus assaulted by Muslims in the UK. Yeah, they're claiming that. Thank you, Roger. What I tell you, the fight will be in the States. Yeah, you did. You did. Thank you, Wired. Teach the Quran in schools to counteract. Thank you for the super here, Justice, who's been a member for 9 months. Christianity is always the foundation for effort of white supremacy to instigate conflicts and be hostile and violent to others in a takeover agenda. Thank you, Roger. It's not about the size of the government, but who controls the government. More states need to be CBI amendment states. Shout out to Urbera, who just became a Sabby member. Let's give them a big whoop, whoop. And thank you, a lady. Did you hear Tucker say last week, Democrats hate God and white people? No, I didn't, but I'm not surprised. Not surprised. Thank you, Wired. Any action against kids act. Not familiar with it. I'll have to look into that one. Okie dokie. Thank you all, ladies and gents. Do me a solid if you can and smash that like button. Thank you. And let's keep it moving and grooving to the next topic. Again, ladies and gentlemen, are they getting a wake-up call? Did Megyn Kelly get a wake-up call? Let me tell you something. Megyn really let everybody know how she feels about Haitians under temporary protected status in the United States. So let me give you a rundown really quickly. The Supreme Court decided to back Donald Trump and remove the temporary protected status for Haitians, migrants in the United States. So this is a big deal. There's a lot of, anger and frustration about it. And what I am noticing is that this is where I get concerned. People have different opinions about immigration. Where I get concerned is when I see people co-signing what Megyn Kelly said. Regardless how you feel about immigration, Megyn Kelly has an agenda with this statement that she gave, and she singles out a particular group on purpose. And I'm going to tell you what her greater mission is. This is not just about Haitian migrants or temporary protected status. This is Megyn Kelly trying to do something much bigger. Even her own viewers are coming after her in the comment section. Here we go.
Has been trying to shut down these asylum claims because they're bullshit. 99% of these are total bullshit. They just know that they have a better shot of manipulating the system if they claim, at least under the Biden years, poor dear me, I throw myself on your mercy, you chump Americans. So Trump came in and said, no more asylum. We're not doing that. And of course, this lawsuit resulted. And by the way, thank God conservatives are now in the majority of the court. It's like the best court I've seen in my lifetime. And in a case that's likely to be even more consequential today, the same 6-3 majority siding with the Trump administration in its effort to end temporary protected status, or TPS, for Haitian and Syrian immigrants.
Let's pause here for a second. This status, if I remember correctly, it happened under Barack Obama. And I think she gets into that a little bit after the earthquake in Haiti. This is another example of, because we'll get into what I think about Miss Megyn in just a second, but this is another example of a policy that was put in place by the Democratic Party that did not have a step 2. The first step was temporary protected status. Then what? Right. So one of the things that I've said before about immigration, when Barack Obama decided to do the TP, this protected status, also when he decided to help the Dreamers, there didn't seem to be a pathway for citizenship. So to just say, okay, we're implementing this protection for the Dreamers, or we are getting this temporary protection for the Haitian migrants, what comes after that? And because it seems as though there was no step 2, someone like Trump gets in, and Trump takes that opportunity and decides to just blow it up any way that he wants to. And to me, it was always kind of weird. And I said this about the Dreamers, was that why didn't you guys put them on a pathway also to citizenship? I didn't understand that. Maybe people didn't imagine that someone would come into office and would take this away. But even if you didn't imagine that, why would you not put them on a pathway to citizenship? So that's how you end up in this spot. Now, Trump's an asshole and he's singling out certain groups. But had that door not been left open, I don't think this could have happened. Let's continue on here.
Now, this decision clears the way for the admin to deport about 350,000 Haitians and over 6,000 Syrians, and is likely to have implications for the approximately 1 million individuals living in the U.S. under TPS from other countries.
Now, notice again the groups that are singled out: Haitians and the Syrians, of course. Donald Trump allowed the white South Afrikaners to come to the United States, fast-tracked visa and everything. Said, come on in. Come on in. What did he say? He said, we want certain kinds of immigrants to come here, right? Certain kinds. So it's very obvious the ones that they don't want.
TPS program passed by Congress in 1990 gives the Department of Homeland Security the power to designate a country's citizens as eligible to remain here and to work here because they cannot safely return to their homeland due to a natural disaster, war, or other extraordinary and temporary conditions. TPS designations are supposed to be for specific periods of time, hence the word temporary. But under the law, the designation can be extended before the designation expires, before the terms expire. The Obama admin granting Haitians TPS in 2010 due to the country's devastating earthquake, Syrians receiving it in 2012 because of the country's civil war. I mean, cry me a river, we have our own problems. TPS for both countries extended multiple times. And look, this has been going on for over a dozen years. Go home. Get out. We know our country's better than yours. That's because we filled it with our work ethic and our culture and our values. You being here only dilutes it for us, those who built it and live it. And half of you people, more than half of you, won't assimilate. We don't want you. We don't care if you're offended. Get out. Go home. Go back to fucking Haiti. Sorry. I'm just.
No, she's not sorry. That's who Megyn Kelly is. That's how Megyn Kelly really feels. And what was interesting about this anger that she seemed to have, Megyn Kelly didn't have that energy towards Jeffrey Epstein's friends. In fact, when we were talking about the Epstein files earlier on, Megyn Kelly's tone was very calm about that. Megyn Kelly is more angry at the Haitian migrants than she is about all these rich people that some of them she used to rub elbows with working at Fox News. She's more angry about the Haitian migrants than she was about all these rich people who abuse these damn kids. That ought to tell you something. That's Megyn Kelly right there. That energy you just saw, get out of here. That's who she is. Now hold on to it, because I'm going to tell you why she's doing it. And I'm going to show you what she should say that she did not say. Because we're going to talk about Haiti and what the U.S. government has done and is still doing in Haiti. But this is who she is. That's that real Karen energy coming out of Megyn Kelly. And I'll tell you this is another thing. Don't think that just because, like me, I'm a Black American, born here, parents born here, grandparents born here, I'm a Black American. Don't get it twisted, and don't think that just because she has that energy towards the Haitian migrants, that she won't have that same energy towards us either. So don't get that twisted.
For years now, who are drunk driving all over their towns and killing people. This is the whole cats and dogs thing. Like, they don't want to live like Americans live. And this was supposed to be a temporary, it was supposed to be temporary help. And it's turned into another backdoor way of allowing someone permanent residency here. And they take advantage of all of our public services and our systems, and they're not respectful in many cases of their neighbors. It's like, it had to end.
You know what's interesting, Megyn? I went to college. I remember going to the frat parties and stuff like that. Some of the things that Megyn described there about the Haitian people, and some of those things have been debunked. But what do you mean, like, that's not a part of our culture? Because I seem to remember the frat boys getting drunk and drinking and driving all the time. I tend to remember, you talking about eating cats and dogs. I tend to remember some of the frat boys going through hazing rituals where they did even worse. But that's not our culture. We don't behave that way in this country. Oh, yes, we do. Oh, yes, we do. We have culture in this country where people will run down the street naked, holding a keg in the air. What do you mean that's not our culture? Now, let me tell you why Megyn Kelly is really doing this. This is Megyn Kelly trying to get back on course. She veered off, took that side road for a minute. Now she's trying to get back on I-95. And this is Megyn Kelly trying to find a way to pull back in those Trump supporters who are mad at Donald Trump because of the wars, because of the Epstein files. Let me get back into hating on the immigrants, and that will bring them back over to the right team. Many people, a number of them, have reached out and they have said they feel politically homeless because of the Epstein files, because of Donald Trump starting the wars, because of the genocide, because of the economic promises that were not kept. Number of people said they feel politically homeless. Megyn Kelly came out late, mind you, to criticize Israel. She was the last one to come over. Candace did it first. And Candace did it when she was still working with the Daily Wire. Megyn Kelly was late to the party. Pay attention. And she found a way to really make excuses for Epstein, which I've shown you on this show. She found a way to make excuses for Epstein, to make excuses for his friends, everybody that was in that club. Megyn Kelly found a way to make excuses for it, or to try to find a way to defend it. This is Megyn Kelly trying to get back on course. And she says, what better way to pull those people back over than to tell them that the Haitian immigrants are their real enemy, instead of the Epstein pedophile class, instead of the billionaires and the trillionaires who are exploiting them, instead of Donald Trump, who's also a part of that, both of those class groups. So it seems like to me, Megyn got either a tap on the shoulder, somebody gave her a wake-up call. Come back over, Megyn. So let's get into what Megyn Kelly will not show you and won't say. Since she has all this vitriol for the Haitian people, why doesn't Megyn Kelly say to the U.S. government, get the fuck out of Haiti? Why doesn't she say that? I mean, if she did, she definitely wouldn't have that serious radio show. So Megyn Kelly still know how to play the game. Because you see, if we go back through the years and we talk about the U.S. occupation of Haiti, this started back in 1915. 1915, 330 U.S. Marines were ordered to invade Haiti. Following a coup and a lynching of the Haitian president, this was Jean Sam. This action was by President Woodrow Wilson. This would begin a 19-year-long occupation on the small island of Haiti, which had previously been independent for over 100 years. Because you see, after the Haitian people rose up and they got that independence, here come the U.S. government to come on in and say, no, no, no. We're going to be the boss of you now. Woodrow Wilson's administration motivations for occupying Haiti were threefold. Haiti's location offered military advantages. The U.S. wanted to dominate the Haitian economy. See the domination? And the U.S. could offer moral and social development to the Haitians. Social development. This is all control. The presence of the U.S. military in Haiti would deter European nations from intervening in Western Hemisphere, as stated in the Roosevelt corollary to the Monroe Doctrine. So do you see this? Started back in 1915. Overall, Haiti has benefited very little from U.S. occupation. The infrastructure accomplishments fell into disrepair. Haitian politics reverted back to the spoils system that had been so prevalent before 1915. And the occupation failed to establish Haiti as an economic and political world power, which they didn't really intend to do anyway. They really didn't intend to actually have Haiti be an economic world power. You got to remember there was something called the Haitian Revolution. They fought back. Now we're going to get into the banking issue. Let's get into how Wall Street was also complicit in this. And then we're going to fast forward to present day too, because there's so much to show you here. In the drowsy hours of a December afternoon, 8 American Marines strolled into the headquarters of Haiti's National Bank and walked out with $500,000 in gold. It was packed in wooden boxes. That's only a small part. Robbing Haiti blind. The gold was in the vault of a Wall Street bank within days. You see how the U.S. government just went in and took money from Haiti? That's a small part. The occupation took place in 1914. American forces took over the country the following summer and ruled it with brute force for 19 years, which we were just talking about recently. Let's fast forward here. Decades of diplomatic correspondence, financial reports, and archival records reviewed by the New York Times showed that behind the public explanations, another hand was hard at work as well. Under heavy pressure from the National City Bank, Citigroup's predecessor, the Americans elbowed the French aside and became the dominant power in Haiti for decades to come. This is another thing that is often not mentioned, how Citibank basically was able to come to rise and how they profited off of the destruction that happened in Haiti. I helped make Haiti and Cuba a decent place for the National City Bank boys to collect revenues. That is coming from Major General Butler, a leader of the American force in Haiti, describing himself as a racketeer for capitalism. Citibank profited off of the destruction in Haiti. Remember that every time you walk past a Citibank. All these banks are dirty. Wells Fargo, Bank of America, they all have blood on their hands. Let's fast forward to the 90s. Let's get into what Bill Clinton did in Haiti.
So first of all, we have to go back when we look at Bill Clinton and his relationship in Haiti when he was president. One of the worst things that he's done that's still hurting Haiti now, especially in the wake of these disasters that keep happening to Haiti, is this policy where he took the excess rice from Arkansas, where he's from, and dumped it in Haiti and used our tax dollars to subsidize it. up until this past recent year, there's legislation that keeps getting knocked off to reverse this policy, although he apologized for it.
Let's go to that apology. Yeah. Yes, in 2010, former President Clinton publicly apologized for forcing Haiti to drop tariffs on imported subsidized U.S. rice during his time in office. The policy wiped out Haitian rice farming, seriously damaging Haiti's ability to be self-sufficient. This is the president apologizing at a hearing before the Senate Foreign Relations Committee. At the time, he was the UN Special Envoy to Haiti.
Every time the U.S. government says that these so-called third world countries are a disaster and they have not decided to rise to the occasion and they can't govern themselves, they completely omit this piece of the puzzle, which is that, again, these actions by Woodrow Wilson, later on these actions by Bill Clinton, it stopped and prevented Haiti from becoming a powerhouse, an economic powerhouse. So as much as they want to say that these countries are third world countries, they completely leave out the fact that these countries are rich in resources. And oftentimes the US government has decided to go over there and rob these countries. So here's that fake ass apology from Bill Clinton.
Since 1981, the United States has followed a policy until the last year or so we started rethinking it, that we rich countries that produce a lot of food should sell it to poor countries and relieve them of the burden of producing their own food. So thank goodness they can leap directly into the industrial era. It has not worked. It's maybe been good for some of my farmers in Arkansas, but it has not worked. It was a mistake. It was a mistake that I was a party to. I am not pointing the finger at anybody. I did that. I have to live every day with the consequences of the lost capacity to produce a rice crop in Haiti to feed those people because of what I did. Nobody else.
That's President Clinton.
This practice is still in effect, and Haiti is always getting rice dumped on them. Rice is a staple. There's no reason why Haiti should be importing rice because that's something that's always, the rice grown in Haiti is much healthier. Ever since this rice has been coming in, there have been diabetes epidemics. People didn't used to have that much diabetes. This is the worst thing that could have happened to Haiti.
But right now, in the aftermath of the hurricane, with Haitian officials warning there could be a famine, what are the most critical actions that you feel need to be taken?
I think it has to be supporting the farmers that are in these hardest hit areas. You know, by bringing rice and other things that could have been grown in Haiti, that's not helping at all. I think we need to support the farmers to start to recrop, you know, going forward and for the long term of Haiti. We need to start growing our rice in Haiti again, supporting the farmers in the Latibonite the Latibonite region of Haiti, where rice has always been grown in Haiti and supplied for the entire country.
Let's go to the next part here. Eric, can we go to part 2 here for tight VNC? Let's go to the next part too, because there was another part I wanted to show you as well. So do you see how the US government has had a hand in destabilizing these countries and ruining these countries? So Megyn isn't going to tell you that. Megyn just mentions, okay, you guys had an earthquake. You came here. It's temporary. Okay, go back the fuck home. Megyn doesn't tell you how the U.S. even right now is still in Haiti. We sent U.S. warships to Haiti just a couple of months ago.
Warships deployed by the Trump administration arrived at the Bay of Port-au-Prince on Tuesday. And according to the U.S. Southern Command, these ships were sent at the direction of Secretary of Defense Pete Hegseth as a part of Operation Southern Spear. That's the ongoing military campaign that's included numerous boat strikes targeting alleged drug traffickers in the region. The U.S. Embassy in Haiti posted on X that the presence of these warships demonstrates America's, quote, unwavering commitment to the security, stability, and a brighter future for the Republic of Haiti. And beyond their stated mission, the arrival of these ships is also seen as a strong message and a show of force during a significant political moment in Haiti. Del?
So do you see this? Again, this is recent. Donald Trump, notice this has happened under both parties. Donald Trump sent in those warships over there to Haiti and said, we're going to stop the drug trafficking. Now, bullshit. Just like they armed Africans to go to Haiti and kill Haitians. this is a problem. And Megyn Kelly, if she was sincere and serious, she would call for the U.S. government to get out of Haiti, to leave people alone. Haiti is one of the most, I got to tell you, the way that the media, especially corporate media, talks about Haiti, it is one of the most demonized countries in the world. And a lot of people, they don't even try to read about their history. They don't know what happened years ago in Haiti. They don't know what's happening right now in Haiti. They don't know what the plan is for tomorrow in Haiti. All they see is, you're here, it was temporary, we want you gone. Now, I do say, and I've stood by this, I do say there should have been another step. You can't just say, I'm issuing this protection for the Haitian migrants. Peace, toodaloo. I'm leaving the administration now, have at it, and not have another step or a pathway to citizenship. I said the same thing about this protection for the dreamers. Where was the pathway to citizenship? So then Donald Trump comes in, is like, oh, hey, they didn't put in a protection, a step 2 for this protection plan. So I'm going to get them out of here. And it's only certain groups. So pay attention to that. But they were very happy to let the white South Africans come over. This is what is happening right now. As you can see, Donald Trump is losing support. If you look at this fair that happened right now, now they're bragging, saying thousands of people here. Do you see thousands of people at this fair? No, people were making fun of this. He's losing support. This is his last pull. Let me pull back in the immigration ticket and get them back on my side, because I just tell them to focus on hating other people. Hate the Haitians, hate the Venezuelans, hate all these people. So that way they're not paying attention to all the corrupt, crooked shit that I'm doing. Look at the turnout. Now, Fox News brags about, oh, thousands of people. Listen.
Happy early birthday, America. We're celebrating already at the Great American State Fair. Man, we've got thousands of people celebrating this birthday with us, Tommy. You and I had a chance to go out. We got to see some of the exhibits. I'm sure you got what I got, which was a lot of people going, hey, love to watch it on Fox. I hope a lot of them left the mall, went home.
You see thousands of people there. And if you look on social media, other people were there that were taking videos. There was no thousands of people. This is Donald Trump losing support. He is tanking, and Megyn Kelly trying to get back in the goddamn club. That's what this is about. Let's pull them back in. Oh, they're mad because of Israel. They're mad because of the Iran war. They're mad because of the Epstein files. They're mad because the economy still isn't working out for them. Oh, ding, ding, ding. Let me pull out that immigration card. That one always works. When I see time and time again that a lot of the focus of blaming tends to be on other people who are at the bottom, most of us are at the bottom, as that pyramid shows you. When you put more energy on blaming those people, and I don't really hear you talk about corruption, I don't hear you talk about your friend Trump, who is your friend, when I don't hear you talk about the billionaires, the trillionaires, the people who are exploiting workers, the people who are stealing people's homes, when I don't hear you talk about deed theft, Megyn Kelly, when I don't hear you talking about corruption, but I see you go harder at this temporary protective status for Haitian migrants than you did towards Epstein's friends and Jeffrey Epstein, I'm going to call a spade a spade. Period. Let's go to the comments, ladies and gents, and then we will get to the next story, which is a good news story. Hey, hey, hey. All right. Thank you for the super sticker servant. They're doing this to turn it over to Israel, this whole country. They're going to use cryptocurrency, as we have one of the strongest crypto block. Our government and our country is going to enforce it. Watch. Yeah, people say pay attention to the whole crypto thing. Thank you, Libertarian. I am an immigration moderate, but dehumanizing Haitians and Somalians is wrong. And the term assimilation is a white supremacist dog whistle the media loves. Thank you, M. Rish. She would not say get out to the Israelis. No, she would not. Thank you, Dublin. Thank you, Sabby. Thank you, Michael. America. Thank you, JJ. Megyn R. Kelly. Reggie says, thank you, Sabrina, for discussing Haiti. Thank you, Roger. PBPB, stop with these scammy Wall Street banks. He's talking about public banks. And thank you, Constance. Haiti has been punished since 1794 slave uprising. Yeah, I could see that. All right, ladies and gents, go ahead and smash that like button, and we're moving on to a good news story. We might have to drop the beat for this one. All right. Hey, my dude has done it again, man. My dude he's done it again. We having big wins geopolitically. Captain Ibrahim Traore decided to stick it to Emmanuel Macron like nobody's business. This is huge. Burkina Faso severs diplomatic ties with France. Ladies and gentlemen, this is everything. Can we get a clap? Can we get a clap? This is everything. And I'm going to tell you why this is everything. Emmanuel Macron need this to happen. This needed to happen and could not have happened to, a crazier dude than Macron. This is what I'm talking about when I say standing up for your community and not allowing the Western allies or the U.S. to come in and to take hold of your country and to steal your resources. Captain Ibrahim Traore said, by Macron, we are no longer having any type of diplomatic ties. Emmanuel Macron is freaking out. And we're going to go ahead and get into it. Big announcement over the weekend. Hey, Burkina Faso.
The West African nation Burkina Faso has cut diplomatic ties with former colonial ruler France with immediate effect. Burkina Faso's ruling junta has accused Paris of persistently acting against its interests. France has called the move hostile, but it is reviewing a response. Well, nonetheless, Burkina Faso's decision widens a rupture with the former colonial ruler after years of worsening ties over security, sovereignty, and alleged foreign interference.
The government of Burkina Faso hereby informs both national and international public opinion that it has decided to sever its diplomatic relations with the French Republic, effective as of today, June 26, 2026.
Hey, let's go ahead and drop a beat for Burkina Faso. Drop the beat. Dance with me. Dance with me. Drop the beat. In the street. Woo! Go home, Macron. Go home. Go home, Macron. Go home.
This decision follows a thorough assessment of the current state of bilateral relations between Burkina Faso and France. Indeed, the essential conditions for promoting relations based on mutual respect, reciprocal trust, respect for the principle of non-interference in internal affairs, and respect for national sovereignty are not in place.
Macron is not happy here. He is not happy.
Burkina Faso's Minister of Communication further accused France of supporting subversive networks and terrorists and harboring new colonial ambitions. Burkina Faso claims the regime currently in power in France is against its interests, and hence the nation has chosen the path of responsibility and sovereignty.
Cet état de fait This situation is reflected, among other things, in the relentless actions of the regime currently in power in France against the interests of Burkina Faso, its openly proclaimed neo-colonial ambitions manifested through active support for subversive networks and terrorists who continue to plague our country and the Sahel, and the deceitfulness and bias of statements and opinions about our country aimed at turning it into a pariah within.
Let's pause here for a second. Another thing I wanted to mention, so let's remember Burkina Faso was a part of the Sahel states. So they have this coalition, this AES coalition with Mali and also Niger. So it's Mali, Niger, and Burkina Faso. And all three of these countries decided to come together and fight for what's best for their country, their people, and to get the West out. And this is what needs to be done. Burkina Faso Captain Ibrahim Traore realized we cannot work with them. We have to lead our own.
The international community.
The government, however, clarified that the decision concerns exclusively the institutional framework of relations between the two states at the diplomatic level, and in no way calls into question the historical, human, cultural, and social ties that untie the Burkinabe and French peoples.
We just
France has.
I'm sorry. We got to go back. Can we drop the beat to the walk? We're going to drop the beat to the walk, and I'm just going to mute it here. Let me cue. We're going to do a different. We're going to do pressure for this one. Hey.
Let's see how you do under pressure. Let's see how you do under pressure. Give them a name to remember. Hey. Let's see how you do under pressure. Let's see how you do under pressure.
A moment can live on forever.
Peoples. Meanwhile, France has called the move a hostile and baseless decision. It claims the decision illustrates the troubling drift of the Burkinabe authorities and the necessary reciprocal measures are under review. Burkina Faso is not the first West African nation to have cut ties with France. Over the past few years, at least 6 nations have made similar moves. In 2022, French troops were withdrawn from Mali after junta demands. The same year, French withdrawals was also completed in the Central African Republic amid Russian influence. Niger ended defense agreements in 2023 after a coup, following which French forces were withdrawn. In late 2024, Chad also ended defense cooperation with France. Around mid-2025, Senegal requested closure of French bases. Now, the withdrawal has been completed. Ivory Coast also announced the withdrawal of French troops starting in early 2025.
Hey, let's do it. Now, of course, Macron is not happy about this, but let's go back through what that relationship looked like, right? The relationship between France and Burkina Faso. This woman did a really good job breaking this down. Burkina Faso overtaking South Africa as Traore challenges Macron over stolen gold. This woman that is about to speak here, she talks about like how obviously one-sided this relationship was.
Between 1958 and 1961, France did something absolutely horrible. France met the Francophone African countries, and I don't even want to use that terminology, but I only use it for the purposes of conversation. The 14 countries which were formally, but still colonized by the French, they were forced to sign a document that they called the Pact for the continuation of colonization. You heard me. The Pact for this continuation of colonization. If you want your independence, you must sign this. Guinea, Secretary said absolutely not. Mali said absolutely not. France, pack your bags and go on back home. France could not believe it. Could not understand that an African country, these monkeys, do not want to be affiliated to France. The
decolonization war didn't start with President Ibrahim Traore.
Pause there for a second. Imagine being told that if you want your independence, you have to sign this contract. And part of having that independence means that we're going to control the resources here. So Burkina Faso is another one that was rich in resources. Same with Niger. But France was taking a lot of that those resources. And so the people who lived there couldn't utilize most of the resources that they had because it was going to France. Oh, and out of this, by the way, apparently, like, you're going to have this said protection. They're going to protect you because you're allowing them to basically control you, and they're going to do a favor for you. And basically that favor is, we're going to allow you to breathe and not try to kill you if you let us have that control. And that's their definition of independence.
It started with President Thomas Sankara. Sankara stood up in the face of OAU and stood up against them. Is this history repeating itself? If you've been following the news, you would know that the Sahel is on fire. For years, France made sure that Africans' wealth had one-way ticket, the France. But President Ibrahim Traore flipped the script, and this shocked all of them as they did not see this coming.
Standing up, he is saying the natural resources in Burkina Faso, they belong to the people of Burkina Faso. Niger is doing the same thing. Mali is doing the same thing. Every leader must look at what's happening in the Sahel nations to say, like anybody else, you must take care of your people. You have your natural resources. You have everything you need to take care of your people. Why do you continue to be beggars? Look at what is being brought in by not only USAID, but all the NGOs.
Joy says rule number one.
So yeah, you guys see the point that was made there, which is that France is already rich, but they want to be richer. So they just still go and take from other countries as well. And again, the whole thing is, we will give you protection if you just sign away your independence to us, but by doing so would give you your own independence, even though we're in control and we're going to take the most of your resources, but you'll still get to have some of it because you're allowing us to control your independence, which you actually just got, that independence you just got by giving it away to us. It does not make any sense, but this has happened all over the world, all over the world. And so I call this a celebration. I think this is a really good thing. Now, obviously, Macron is pissed. So it goes on to say here, let's go ahead and bring this one up for you so you can see his response. France condemned what it described as hostile and baseless. This is the other thing. Now you're hostile because you don't want to do what they want you to do. In a post on X, the Ministry for Europe and Foreign Affairs said the move reflected the worrying trajectory of the Burkinabe authorities and added that Paris was considering an appropriate response. So, according to Macron, it's hostile. I call it a win. I call it a win. So we're going to give it up for Captain Ibrahim Traore. Yeah, that's right. That's what I'm talking about, guys. So good news there. Good news. And maybe other leaders in Africa will take note. Maybe they'll take note. This could be a big wake-up call for some of those leaders. Hopefully. We'll see. Let's go to some of the comments here, ladies and gents. All right. Thank you, Miriam. Can you talk about the secret that Trump administration is arming an African group, the RSF, to genocide Africans in Sudan and think Somalia as well? I have discussed that on here, but I can bring someone on to talk about that again. But I have talked about that. Thank you, Bent. Haiti suffered from brutal French colonialism, who enslaved the Haitian and stole their sugar and their coffee and made French wealthy. Dell said, how long will he survive? So there's been multiple assassination attempts on Captain Ibrahim's life. Multiple. Thank you, the house. France just can't stop exploiting. No. Thank you for the super sticker exit. Thank you for the heart. Shout out to Mia Tierney for becoming a Sabby member. Give Mia a big whoop whoop. Thank you, Sunshine. This mother flower should leave every country and stop stealing their resources and dehumanizing them. M. Kelly is disgusting, racist. Remember Jesus. Okay, thank you guys. I think we have a Rumble rant and then we'll move on to the next story here. All right. Promise you guys, I will not keep you long. We got 2 more stories, but I think I can do them pretty well. All right. Thank you, SS Kubi. Free Palestine. Thank you so much. Thank you. Okie dokie. Let's move on to the next story. If you are on disability or you know someone that is on disability, I think you need to hear this announcement that Stephen Miller just made. Apparently, he wants to punch down on the little people, and I see this as very concerning. Let's get into it, folks. What does Stephen A. Miller want to do to Americans who are on disability?
Last week, the Department of Justice released a controversial memo. It authorizes states to send Americans with disabilities to institutions, nursing homes, psych wards, segregated schools, rather than funding the community-based services that allow them to remain at home. This would undo decades of community integration reforms, including longtime Supreme Court precedent that was designed to allow those with disabilities to live independent, productive lives.
So this is something I just want to point out. He has a problem with the money and the resources that's going to those on disability, but he totally supports the money and resources that goes to another country, that goes to Israel, right? So this is how you call it out. There are a lot of people that are on disability that voted for Trump and the Trump administration. I don't know if Stephen Miller knows this, or honestly, I don't think he gives a fuck. I don't think Stephen Miller cares. But there are a number of people. Disability isn't just a Democrat thing. You know what I mean? Like disability, there's people who are MAGA that are on disability. There's people that are, Democrat that were pro-Kamala or whatever that are also on disability. And disability varies. I want to explain this to people who may not have an idea. There are different percentages of disability. Some people have 100% disability, and because of that, they can't work. There are also people who may have 100% disability that are still eligible to work. Some people may have 50% disability, so they can still, it depends. So it varies by the individual. But I can assure you, whatever amount of benefits that you think people are getting on disability, they don't get as much as you think. If you had a job where you were making $80,000 a year, and then all of a sudden you end up on disability for whatever reason. Maybe you were in a really bad car accident and you can no longer perform those duties. Maybe you're paralyzed or whatever. Anything can happen. If you think that that person is now receiving $80,000 from disability, you're wrong. These disability checks oftentimes are just enough. They basically give you enough so that you can get the food, whatever housing your situation is, but it's not much. I know people on disability that are getting $200 a month. So I don't know what people may have told you about disability, but it's not what you think it is. They give you enough to keep you where you are. Does that make sense? So imagine trying to punish those people who are on disability, which could be you or someone else one day. You never know what could happen. This is where we're at now, folks.
This week, we learned that White House Homeland Security Advisor Stephen Miller was behind that memo, according to Bloomberg Law, who spoke to people who were briefed. And while spokespeople for both the White House and the DOJ denied that Miller played a role in the memo, this attempt to remove folks with disabilities from their communities tracks with his exclusionary vision for this country. Miller is infamously obsessed with demographics, crowing just today about deporting Haitian migrants and refugees. Under his watch, DHS has produced a trove of state propaganda, which experts say promotes white nationalist slogans and iconography. He is also, of course, the architect of Trump's draconian immigration policies. And as the New York Times reports, during a private meeting during the last presidential campaign, Trump reportedly told staff that Miller wants to deport more than 2/3 of this country's population.
But not those Israelis, though. Because see, here's the thing. They're coming after each group and they're doing it one by one. The one group they're not going to come after is obviously the ultra rich, the 1%. They're not going to come after them, but they are coming after different groups. So pay attention, right? So they're coming after like the Haitian immigrants. They're coming after them. Now he want to come after the disability, put them in institutions. And remember what I told you, people can be on disability for different things. Some people may be on disability because they're blind or something like that. Different things. But for you to then take that livelihood away from someone and to lock them up because of their status right now, that's ridiculous. Meanwhile, you're totally fine with the US government giving money to Israel, giving money to war. They're coming after the little people. They're coming after the farmers. They're coming after the rural communities that are being impacted by those data centers. They're coming for their homes. They're coming after the people living in the tent communities. This is why they want to criminalize homelessness, not telling you that some of those people are also workers. There's a whole entire documentaries about people living in their cars and going to work. They're coming after the protesters. They're coming after the 99%. They really want to crush most of us. And this is a sick, twisted society that you would come after people who are incapable, many of them incapable of getting a job. A lot of times you meet someone on disability, they would love to work, but they physically can't. You would come after those people, but not the people who are abusing children. If Stephen Miller, could you imagine if Stephen Miller were president of the United States? This is where we're at now.
Leaving behind only those who look like him. For its part, the White House denies that reporting, but it certainly seems consistent with an ethos that says, if you can't deport your undesirables, at least hide them away. Allison Barkoff led disability enforcement work at the Department of Justice. She is currently the director of the Hirsch Health Law and Policy Program at George Washington University, and she joins me now. Allison, walk us through what this memo would mean in practice.
So this memo is shocking in its reversal of 50 years of policy by the United States government that states should provide services to people with disabilities in their own homes and in their own communities instead of locking them away in institutions, hiding them away from society. And what this means in this reversal is that the main enforcer of disability rights laws has now said, we are not going to continue with that work. That's going to mean settlement agreements being undone, new positions in court. And the memo talks about undoing decades-long regulations that have been in place.
So why have...
Let me just pause here. So we're really talking about telling people that, listen, they want to come after you. That's the response to everything now. They're on disability. Put them in an institution. Put them away. Lock them up. Get them out of here. I don't want to see them. They're homeless. Throw them in jail. Criminalize homelessness. Just get them out of here. Stephen Miller doesn't know what is going to happen in the future. Nobody knows. You know, people sometimes they just wake up one day and they realize that they have to be on disability. Many people went through that. And Stephen Miller's just talking the way that he is. And he has a wife. He has a wife, Katie Miller, who is married to someone who thinks this way about people, thinks so little about people. There are many elderly people that are on disability. I used to work at a skilled nursing facility, guys. A lot of the elderly people that were residents there, they were on disability. Lock up the old people too, I guess, huh? Think about this now. The largest voting population
there been these regulations that mandate community integration where possible. What are the benefits of that for the individuals who are affected, for economic outcomes? Why has this been such an important fight for the disability community?
The disability rights laws and these integration mandate regulations come from a very ugly history in our country, when people with disabilities were segregated away in institutions. RFK's own father went and visited one of these infamous institutions in New York, calling it a snake pit. And that is what led to really a push to create community services. The vast majority of people can and want to live in the community. It's cost effective and it leads to better outcomes. Think about it. It is community services that allow families to keep children with disabilities in their own homes. It's what allows children to go to school with their peers in their neighborhood. Because of these community services, we have disabled coworkers. We have people with disabilities that are part of all of our community. And that's why these laws are so critical. And people in the disability community have fought for decades. These are hard-won rights that are at risk with this memo.
I just can't help but think about the people that I know that are on disability right now. And this is absolutely, it's heartbreaking that you would even feel this way about people because they are not able-bodied. And a lot of times they're often left out of the conversation. You know how many, Boston's an old city. You know how many buildings I walk into in Boston that don't have, seems like they don't have handicap access? You know how many parking garages I've parked in Boston that if you're in a wheelchair, good luck because there's no elevator? These are things I think a lot of times people don't think about until they're in that position, or if they have someone close to them that is disabled. But if you don't, you may not think about these things. You know, it's like you just get out of your car and you walk down the stairs in the parking garage and you're like, oh, there's no elevator. Okay, there's many of those like that here in Boston. Those little small, tiny parking garages that don't have elevators. You know how many schools in Boston don't have wheelchair access, where you have to walk up all these steps to get into the building? There's no ramp. And I often think about this, like, okay, if I'm in a wheelchair, how am I going to get into this building? So you see this more often in some of the older cities. And I just want you to see the numbers, because here's the data. Check this out. Did you know 44.7 million, or 13.6, that is the total U.S. civilian non-institutionalized population with a disability in 2023. 13.6%, 44.7 million. And oftentimes, their voices are not heard. This is the group that oftentimes are forgotten about. As much as people will bring up identity politics, a lot of times people will say, oh, it's about this identity, it's about this, it's about that. You know who you don't hear them mention? The disabled. I've been paying attention because people will mention Black, white, Asian, LGBTQ, Latino, every group. They do not mention the disabled. 19.5%, the percentage of West Virginia's civilian non-institutionalized population with disability in 2023, the highest share of any state in the nation. New Jersey and Utah, both at 10.9%, had two of the nation's lowest rates of disability. West Virginia is also one of the poorest states in the country. 10.2 million. The total U.S. civilian non-institutionalized population, ages 18 to 64, with a disability employed in 2023. Remember, I told you some of them still work. They have a disability, but they can still work. Sometimes only part-time. Check out the money. $32,149. The median earnings in 2023, inflation-adjusted dollars, of a U.S. civilian non-institutionalized population ages 16 and over with a disability and with earnings during the previous 12 months in 2023. Yeah, these checks that you think these people are getting, it's not what you think it is. Yeah, Eric's right. It could happen to any one of you. There was a girl, she was a classmate of mine in undergrad. She got into a really bad car accident. The helicopter had to come in and lift her out of the car. Disability. She wasn't even 21 yet. You never know. So the Stephen Millers, these are dangerous people, and they want nothing more to do with you. They don't care about the little people. As you go to rallies and you cheer on all these rich, corrupt, evil people, just remember at the end of the day, they do not care about the 99%. And anytime you hear someone talking about disabled people like this is hopefully a big wake-up call. And if you supported Donald Trump or you still support Donald Trump, this better be a big wake-up call, because apparently they're letting you know they don't even care about the disabled people that are part of MAGA. They don't give a fuck. This is where communities have to band together. This is where you're going to need your neighbor that they told you not to talk to because they were in a different political party. Something to think about. All right, we got one more story for you, ladies and gents. Yes, we do. And I can't wait to get your opinion about this one. Okay. If you haven't done so, do me a solid and smash the like, and let's keep it moving and grooving. Okay. Has Hakeem Jeffries received a wake-up call? Now that slate of candidates that Zohran Mamdani, because you guys keep telling me I'm pronouncing his name incorrectly, endorse, have won. The pressure is now on Hakeem Jeffries. The pressure is, are they going to endorse Hakeem Jeffries for speaker? And people have already started speaking out. And one of them is Alyssa Slotskin, who is a senator. She got the jump on it first. And then AOC responded. And a lot of people were pointing to AOC and they are not happy with her response. How do you allow Alyssa Slotskin to get the jump on this position? She was on Stephen A. Smith's show. Stephen A. Smith is another, cuck for the establishment. But listen to what she said.
I mean, first of all, our political system is ill and both parties are just unwell. Certainly Democrats got shellacked in 2024. I was in a swing state. I won that same year. And to me, it was very simple. The Democrats had a million priorities. They tried to make everybody happy. They tried to answer every single question. And when you prioritize nothing, no one knows what you stand for. Donald Trump came in and he said, I got one thing I'm going to do. I'm going to make your life more affordable. I'm going to put more money in your pocket. And he won because he kept it simple and he focused on the primary issue that the American public actually wants answers on. Democrats didn't, lost, got shellacked. And we haven't fully gotten back on our feet since then.
I think shellacked is that like a Midwestern term or something like that? Like she says it with the Midwestern accent too, right? Oh, Bobby, don't you know? Yeah. So Alyssa Slotkin is former CIA, so keep that in mind. So I don't know if she's playing CIA mind tricks here, or if she really does just realize that the party's got to change. Listen to this.
There is every single day a debate going on in the Democratic Party. And for me, this is why I'm a big believer in just new leadership, significant change. The old models do not work for people, and that includes in the Democratic Party.
When you say new leadership,
yeah,
what do you mean by that? You're not just talking about Trump being out of office. You're talking about new leadership within the Democratic Party as well, are you not?
Absolutely.
Yeah,
absolutely. I mean, I think since Biden was in, like, we need new leadership in the White House, the House, and the Senate.
That means Hakeem Jeffries and Chuck Schumer, House and the Senate. That's what that means. Now, hold on to what she said here. I look back at that interview that she had with Crystal Ball, and Crystal Ball really pushed her and said, no, you're taking money from Israel and all that type of stuff. You guys remember that back and forth? Man, Alyssa Slotkin, if I was her, I would have not been on social media that week because people really came for her head after that interview and said that was an embarrassing, obviously interview for you and you got your ass kicked. And now you're starting to see something move over here. So this is coming from a former CIA employee who is in the Senate. Her boss is Chuck. Chuck Schumer is her boss. And she says that both of them got to go. Hakeem Jeffries and Chuck Schumer. You're going to see why people were mad at AOC.
And on both sides of the aisle, that includes Democrats. Okay. And I think we have literally found ourselves in a situation where we just don't have people who understand the moment and understand what leadership means. That you chart a course and you explain to people, how are we going to get from this dark moment to a better place? Instead of just circular firing squad,
right.
Dem on dem violence. No one is talking about what they want to do. And that to me is a fundamental of leadership.
Now, Senator Slotkin, you do know, I want to make sure that I give you cover here. Let everybody know. Let me make sure you're clear. When you talk about new leadership, well, Hakeem Jeffries is the Democratic leader in the House and Chuck Schumer is the Democratic leader in the Senate. When you talk about new leadership, that would mean they're out in favor of somebody else. Is that what you're saying?
I'm saying if people can't understand that the game has changed, I mean, this is you. You're the sports guy. If people can't understand that the game has fundamentally changed and they can't adapt, then they need to let others lead.
No! So you can hear that, right? Again, she former CIA. So we got to push her with that extra extended arm. Okay. So like when it comes to people like Alyssa Slotkin, we cannot have just arm length distance, right? We got to have the go-go gadget arm length distance because she former CIA. So you never know what kind of game she might be playing. But she said that, and this is part of the reason why people are upset with the statement that AOC gave. Policy-wise, AOC supports policies to the left of what Alyssa Slotkin supports. Alyssa took money from the pro-Israel lobby. AOC has not taken money from the pro-Israel lobby. So that brings the question, why wouldn't AOC take up that same? I mean, you got a senator. She led the way. So why wouldn't AOC follow up on that and continue off of what she said? Okay. So first of all, the Congressional Black Caucus came after Alyssa Slotkin. So let me show you what they said. With respect to Senator Alyssa Slotkin, House Democrats don't need a lesson on reading the political moment from someone who handed Donald Trump one of the most corrupt cabinets in American history. Voting to confirm Kristi Noem, Pam Bondi, and 5 other Trump cabinet secretaries is not the posture of someone who understood the moment after 2024. I don't think she voted to confirm Pam Bondi, but let's go on. Before attempting to weigh in on House Democratic leadership, Senator Slotkin should account for her own role in enabling a racist administration whose policies have caused profound harm to the safety, security, and economic well-being of the Black community that we represent. Democratic leader Hakeem Jeffries has worked tirelessly, here we go with that word, to hold the line for working people every single day and has led the House Democratic Caucus with discipline, clarity, and results. We're focused on delivering for the American people, not relitigating leadership from the other chamber or posturing for higher office in 2028. So first of all, Hakeem Jeffries is not working tirelessly for working people. He was working tirelessly for Israel. They kill me with this tirelessly. Everybody got the same vocabulary, you know? Goes on to say the Congressional Black Caucus and House Democrats are united behind Leader Jeffries and remain focused on lowering costs for working families, defending our democracy, protecting fundamental rights, and taking back the House majority this November, not engaging in distractions that only serve to divide Democrats at a moment when unity and resolve are essential. Notice how they say they remain focused, the things that they're focused on. Notice they don't mention Black people. Oh my God. So the CBC was called out here on MS Now about how they changed.
Memdani and the DSA, these are just reheated Congressional Black Caucus policies over the last 55 years. I mean, housing affordability, healthcare. I mean, John Conyers, who's a founding member of the CBC, introduced a Medicare for All bill 23 years ago. And so these aren't new things. And
so the point that he made here about what the CBC was originally about and the issues that they advocated behind and supported, Hakeem Jeffries doesn't even support Medicare for All. This doesn't get mentioned enough. But the Congressional Black Caucus, they decided to trade. It's a reality. They decided to trade in genocide, big pharma, and social clubs for advocating for the working people or the Black community. That's what they decided to do. They decided that it was more important to support genocide, big pharma, and social clubs. So sometimes the way something starts isn't always the way it will continue. And they have this idea that Hakeem Jeffries should just be speaker just because he's Black. Like, this whole thing has been decided a long time ago when Hakeem Jeffries was losing this race. When he first ran for Congress, he was losing this race. He was running against Charles Barron. Charles Barron was leading. Charles Barron is a Black Panther, and he was winning. Next thing you know, you got David Duke, and I call him a Democratic op. David Duke came forward and they smeared Charles Barron and said he was anti-Semitic. And next thing you know, Charles Barron dropped in the polls and Hakeem Jeffries increased in the polls. And that's how Hakeem Jeffries got that seat. It was already decided this is someone he basically supposed to be the next Obama. And so AOC was questioned about the Democratic Party, the leadership, and she gets into this, and then we'll get to see what she says about supporting Hakeem Jeffries for speaker.
I want to talk about where things go from here, because I think there are so many hopes, probably from every person watching, anybody out there who's concerned about what they're seeing from Grandpa in the Oval Office to happen right now, about what Democrats will get done. And I know you've said in the past you would support Hakeem Jeffries for speaker, and you can tell me again if that remains the case. Senator Slotkin, who I would say is one of the Democrats that you may agree with on a lot, you may not agree with on everything, I suspect. She had this to say. She said, we need significant new leadership. If people can't recognize that the game has fundamentally changed and can't adapt, then they need to make room for others who can. And
so here is Jen Psaki already giving AOC the warning. She didn't even have to tell her what Alyssa Slotkin said, but she already gave her the heads up. Hey, this senator just said this.
She was referring to Jeffries, and she's, of course, in the Senate, to Schumer as well. What do you think about that? And what do you think Jeffries needs to do to prove that, if you think he needs to do anything to prove that?
Well, I think that anyone who says and issues a statement like this, I think it's important for them to get prescriptive about the changes that they want to see. I've been pretty clear about where I think the country should go. I think that we need to move forcefully to guarantee health care to every American. I think we need to move forcefully towards raising wages and taking on corporate corruption and profiteering. But there are a lot of folks who talk about change in leadership that don't necessarily articulate what their direction is. And so I would say that it's important that when we talk about change, we talk pretty specifically about the kind of changes that we want, because there.
So do you see the little dig there at Alyssa? She's basically, that's her taking a shot at Alyssa Slotskin, because she's saying that Alyssa basically isn't saying what she wants, but she's saying there needs to be different leadership, right? Also, she mentions again, healthcare, Medicare for all. Again, Hakeem Jeffries does not support Medicare for all. So if that's your goal, to get that done as quickly and as fast as you want, then the Speaker of the House needs to be someone who wholeheartedly backs Medicare for all. I will say, look, unlike AOC and others, I do not support Hakeem Jeffries to be Speaker of the House. I said it months ago that Hakeem needs to get out. He's an AIPAC stooge. He has not been fighting tirelessly for the working class. He's corporate, he's corrupt, and he doesn't even meet the litmus test of supporting Medicare for all. And this is who people think are going to fight? Hakeem Jeffries not a fighter. Hakeem Jeffries is a former pro, Afro revolution student. That's what he used to be. He used to wear dashikis and all that shit in college. He went to law school. They gave him a suit. They gave him a haircut. And he became corporate and sold out. He knows all about the radical revolutionary tradition. He knows all about that because his family also taught him about that, practiced that. He knows all about it. This is not unknown to Hakeem. That includes his uncle. He decided to walk away from that because he wanted to have a political career. Hakeem Jeffries should have been gone a long time ago. But when I said this, when many of us said this under the Biden administration, we were called all types of names. How dare we say Hakeem isn't meeting the moment? He is an empty suit. And no, he shouldn't get a pass just because he's a black politician. There are other black politicians. We got to get past that. And I say this as well to black voters and to older black voters, because I'm hearing some of this from you, from some of the black boom booms. You got to get past this whole, he's black, so he needs to be in there. And you can't look him over or pass him over. No, fuck that. That's how we got in this position to begin with. That's how we end up with the Obama. That's how we end up with these sellouts who just serve Wall Street and don't do anything for the other people. That's how we get them, because you said, oh, he's black. Don't take this moment from him. Let him stay there. Get him out.
There are a lot of people in this country, and there are a lot of forces and lobbyists that want the Democratic Party to become even more pro-corporate than it is. And so not everyone talking about change is talking about the same thing. And so when I talk about change, I talk about orienting the Democratic Party to be unabashedly working class and to orient itself, again, around working class Americans. And I think that part of the conversation, because it's kind of in vogue to be talking about change, when people aren't prescriptive about what those changes need to be, I think we need to be asking further questions.
So she didn't really answer it. So they press her again. And here's her response.
I read just a part of what she said. I take your point. Do you still feel, though, if Democrats went back to the House, that Hakeem Jeffries is the right person to lead?
I've engaged in many conversations with Leader Jeffries. And for me, and we have a broad caucus, right? For me, I have made very clear that one of my priorities in determining and in a leader determination is securing public housing financing for New York City. And Leader Jeffries has made his prioritization for the residents of public housing very clear. And for that reason, I will be supporting Hakeem Jeffries for leader.
So let me just call BS on this, right? Because here's the thing. Hakeem Jeffries should back that and support that regardless of whether or not you support him for speaker or not. He should be back. And why just choose to back that now, right? So that's one. And two, even if he wasn't involved there, she would still endorse him and support him for speaker, just like she did with Nancy Pelosi, because AOC has been trying to walk on both sides of the political, not the political aisle, but both the establishment part and the grassroots part of the Democratic Party. She's trying to do both. That's what she's been trying to do. That's why she was endorsing Biden even during the genocide before he dropped out. But at the same time, going to, events with Bernie as well. She tries to walk on both sides. It's just like if we're in the cafeteria, some days she might go sit with Rashida Tlaib and Ilhan Omar. And then on other days, she may go sit with Hakeem and give me another snooty one. I don't know, Hakeem and Alyssa or something like that. On Wednesdays, we wear pink. That type of energy. And if you look at the comments, like people are not, look at this. There's Professor Zinkus, fuck AOC and fuck Holocaust Hakeem Jeffries. Blakely, how does she say all this with a straight face and then following with, and that's why I'm supporting the useless, soulless suit AIPAC Shakur. So you can see, as you guys can see, absolutely, Trisha, absolutely irresponsible. AOC, this is why people are not sure if they can trust you. Yeah. Dante, this is a terrible move. I mean, see, everybody. So that's her pursuing her political career. That's essentially what that is for AOC. That's what's happening there. Now, I want to prove a point, right? Because Hakeem Jeffries sees the writing on the wall. That's why he put out this announcement. Congratulations to our newest members of the NYC congressional delegation. This is from Hakeem Jeffries. From public servants to union organizers to community activists, the path is different, but the work is the same. We must decisively address the affordability crisis and crush far-right extremism. You see, this is how you know Hakeem, far-right extremism. Notice he doesn't say corporatism, corporate greed, billionaires, trillionaires. It's just far-right extremism because he effectively does not fight for the working class. This is what I was talking about. So he gave a congratulations to all of them who were endorsed by Zoran and just one. But do not fall for the okie doke, because see, open secrets is still a thing. And this is what open secret shows right now. 2026. Remember, Hakeem, I told you he should have been challenged. There was one guy willing to run against him. That was Vance Bosnick. I think he couldn't raise enough money. But I did bring him on to discuss it. And ultimately, there was a decision in DSA that told Shay Osei not to run against him. Hakeem Jeffries has not changed. I don't know what people are expecting from him here. But the first big thing that I'm looking at is the single issue. Right there. Pro-Israel. I have to make this a little bit smaller so we can slide it over. This last column here, I'll just tell you. Oh, it does disappear when I do that. Oh, okay, sorry. This last column here, where it says 8,750 for pro-Israel, that is for the PAC money. So what you'll notice, and see, this is where they get sneaky. Hakeem is taking less PAC money from the pro-Israel cause than he has before in the past. So right now he's taking $8,750 from the PACs. From pro-Israel individuals, he is taking over $233,000. So there's the money that comes from individuals, and then there's the PACs. And this is where it gets tricky, because those pro-Israel individuals could work for like an AIPAC, or they could work for like some other organization, and they donate their own individual dollars to Hakeem Jeffries. And then he's getting $8,750 from the actual PACs. So I'm showing you this because what Hakeem could say is that, well, I don't take as much money from AIPAC as I was before. I'm only taking $8,000 now from the PAC, but he's still taking all this money from the pro-Israel individuals. And this is important. And some people say, no, the individual money doesn't matter. It does. These are people who support the pro-Israel Zionist machine. And they're donating all this money to Hakeem Jeffries to, of course, push their issues. Okay? So you can see it here. Here's the PACs, PAC money, individuals. That's what I was talking about. But he's still taking PAC money. Just may not be as much as it was before. And then it's just, and health. I mean, look, he's taking, look at this. So he got some PACs from healthcare. I mean, it's just, the point is this. Hakeem Jeffries is corporate. Hakeem Jeffries still is taking money from the pro-Israel lobby. Now, if I can look at this, I'm sure AOC can look at this. Anybody can look at this. They all know. They all know. Ultimately, what they're asking you to do is to go ahead and excuse the Zionist interests and allow Hakeem to still fund and give the money and do for Israel, because he's going to help you on these other issues for New York. And you see the Congressional Black Caucus already came after Alyssa Slotkin. So the writing is on the wall. They've already said, don't go after Hakeem, because Hakeem is the black candidate. This is really what it comes down to. He could be the first black male Speaker of the House while wearing a red tie and a blue baseball cap and doing a flip on a Tuesday. But what is he actually delivering? Be careful. Be careful, guys, because I can already see where this is going, and they're going to do this with other people too. They're going to say, let's excuse the fact that they're taking pro-Israel money because they said they're going to support this said policy. Be very careful, because the atrocities that happen abroad, those crimes always come back home. Something to think about. All right, ladies and gentlemen, that is it for me. And Eric is going to close out the show.
Hey.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it's one of the things that occurred to me is part of the establishment game is to have fake fights between between the people that are actually their servants, right? It's like the puppet show, and so like when it comes down to it, like both Slotkin and AOC are gonna tell you to vote Democrat, no matter what happens.
Mm-hmm. But Alyssa Slotkin, oh, go ahead.
No, you go.
I was going to say something else to keep in mind. Alyssa represents Michigan. Michigan is a swing state. Kamala Harris lost Michigan by those uncommitted votes. That's the difference in the votes in Michigan. It's the uncommitted votes.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and they want to have, fake opponents, like and now this is Slotkin's going to try out this lane for a while. But when push comes to shove, and I do think that any serious movement is going to have a level of political militancy that says we're just not dealing with and supporting Democrats. It's, you know, it's just not going to happen.
I think that people are gonna have to really have like, you know, I think like what Jose did was smart. Like Jose, like, because Jose is still gonna be in the general election. Same thing.
He's
with
not
Andre
a Democrat.
Right. Same thing with Andre Easton.
Mm-hmm.
He's still gonna be in the general, but
And then it's up to us to support them.
He ran in the primary to get that attention, and he'll be in the general as well, you know. But we'll see.
So that's
we'll
the
see
wake
what
up
happens.
call.
Yeah, this is what I was saying, you guys, like, just be careful. I'm not trying to drain your hope or steal your hope. I'm just saying be careful, because I'm concerned that the whole genocide thing is going to be just a blip on the radar if people move in the direction I think they might move in. So let's just pay attention to that.
There you go.
Yeah.
All right. We're going to let Sabrina get on with her Sunday.
All right.
I'll close things out.
All right, guys. Have a good night.
All right. And we'll keep up that fight here. Yeah. So there's that whole, you know, concept of having these fake fights. And that's why having clear demands is crucial in all this. If you have a clear set of demands, it becomes a lot more difficult for these for these so-called progressive Democrats, or even ones playing these games to get away with it. Any politician that's really on the side of the 99% should sound like we sound, right? They should be calling out the genocide, calling out the corruption. And an important part of all this is to make the connections, right? One of the things that I like to say is that there's only one real core fix to all this, and that is to decorrupt our government. When you look at any of these issues and how you fix them, it always ties back to the fact that our government is totally corrupt, and it's working for the billionaires, for the war machine, for Wall Street. And so the only way we're going to fix that is first to identify and be serious about it, get to those root causes, and then have clear demands about fixing it. And I'll just show quickly here, you know, if anyone's wondering, right, what would those clear demands look like? If you go to 11demands.org, you know, the real change starts with those real demands. Earlier, there was an early story mentioning a mission statement, you know, and, you know, there is an 11 Demands mission statement. You know, we need a mass movement based on clear demands with that strong focus on corruption. And as for what those demands look like, you know, you've got fix the big money in politics and government. That's the core one. Healthcare for all, a minimum standard of living, end the wars, racial criminal justice reform, climate change, censorship, immigration, the election system, taxation and funding, democratize the enterprise. When we were talking about attacks on the safety net that we have for disabled people, you know, if I would propose that we think bigger, right? And if we have a government that makes it its mission to have that minimum standard of living for everyone, that addresses a lot of these issues, and it makes it a lot easier to take care of people that need, you know, maybe a little more care than the average person. It means things like, you know, a real living wage. It means things like providing housing for all, as in housing first, as in, you know, we house people. It doesn't matter what their issues are or what the economics are or whatnot. We just say it's the government's mission to house people, and we're not going to settle for less. A federal job guarantee would be transformative for giving people jobs. So all these things are about what a movement backed by clear demands, what those demands would look like. And I know, you know, people then like to say, okay, you got these demands, right? How does that turn into a movement? How does, you know, what's the power behind the demands? And the power is us. So I would just say it's up to all of us to look at what a real movement would look like. Excuse me, and look at and keep in mind what can each of us do. We all have a role to play, and it's about it's not about pointing out what's not going to happen or what yes, we need to point out all the problems, but then we need to look at ourselves and what are we doing as individuals and as a group to make that kind of movement, that kind of change happen. Mass movement based on clear demands and that focus on corruption. That's what we always come back to around here. Now, we got some super chats in the queue. Let's see what we got. And these super chats go back to the previous story too. Let's see here. Thanks for the super chat from, was it Kay? Who says, keep bringing that hardcore truth out, Sabby Sabs. Thank you for that encouragement. I appreciate it, and Sabby appreciates it. Measured Man says, thanks for that. Thanks for the super chat. He says, been telling people it's a stair-step approach. They're coming for all of us, and they used race and political sides to divide us as they work through this. I think about the disabled veterans as well. Definitely. It's about realizing there's really, when you're looking at how power operates, there's really two classes of people. There are billionaires and there's the rest of us. And if you really take any of the challenging issues that we see out there, and if you put them in that framework, right, does it benefit the billionaires? Does it benefit the rest of us, the 99%? It's very clarifying. And so something like caring for people who need more care and disability type benefits. It's obviously not something the billionaires are pushing for, right? They'll be fine. It's about, that's a 99% interest. It's, the other thing it comes down to is that, and a lot of these other issues, they're really not that hard to solve. America is rich as you know what is what I'd say. All these problems are solvable. We have the resources. We can do these things, or we can have billionaires. It's really that kind of a choice, and we need to tax them, defund them, fix the wealth inequality, and fix the power and the corruption. There is a path. There are ways to doing these things and fixing these things, but we're going to have to come together to do that and come together behind clear demands. Thanks for the super chat, Jason, who says, Stephen Miller's wife is a psychopath also. And shout out to Regine Jolie for the super sticker. Appreciate that. Appreciate you. And from Mr. Roger Meadows, thanks for the super chat. He says, the 2045 49%, 2060 44%, and 2080 41% panic of the white permanent minority. Thanks for that. Thanks for the super chat, Sandra, who says, most of us have a disabled relative, colleague, or person in our community. This is as close as eugenics as possible, just genocidal. And it's about what kind of society are we going to have? Are we going to be? Do we take care of people, or do we let them fall? That's really what it comes down to. And a billionaire-controlled society just doesn't treat people well. And the lower down you are on that economic ladder, the worse you get treated. Thanks for the super chat, Goba. He says, shellacking, circular firing squad. These were phrases that Obama's used. Slotkin's poor attempt at being cool. I hear you. And in an attempt at playing a role. And it's this game where they come in and play the role of supposed opposition or a disruptive figure. They like to steal our language. You'll hear some of these, you'll hear some Democrats now start talking about corruption. I heard Hakeem Jeffries the other day call out corruption, and pot and kettle black. It's ridiculous, but this is part of their game, and we need to be hip to it and realize what's happening. And have those clear demands and view things in terms of those interests. It's either in the interests of that billionaire class or the rest of us. All right. Thanks for the super chat from Michael, who says, FAOC, Hakeem, and Senator Barney Panders. All right. And I think we got one more out here on Rumble. Let's see. Thanks for this Rumble rant. Stoop Sign, who says, I'm on disability. If I work for more than 24 hours a week for an extended period of time, I lose my meager benefits. Yeah, it's really a brutal system. You know, we live in a brutal country, is kind of how I would put it. This is what the billionaire-controlled capitalist system leads to, and where we end up. And it's up to us, you know, all of us, to come together and work on fixing this. All right, I think that's going to about do it here for tonight. I think we got the queue covered. I want to thank everyone for listening, for your super chats. And I did want to mention that Corey and I are going to be away for about a week, so you may not see us in the next couple of shows. But don't worry, we'll be back soon. A little summer vacation, but Sabrina will manage through that, I think, just fine. But again, thanks for all. I remember the old 11 demands. Check out some of the stuff I've been talking about. And until then, I'll end it with our usual. Have a good night. Keep up the fight. Thanks, everyone. And talk soon. Peace.